Hey everybody, Joey Mesa here. I'm going to go over a few tips on straightening or truing a bent disc brake rotor. It's the case of that one there. So the tools I like to use is, this one's the Park Tool DT2. It's like a little fork, little truing gauge there that you use to manually bend the rotor back. There's also the DT3, which typically I never really use this. I prefer to just use the brake caliper. Seems to work better. But a couple things to keep in mind: your minimum thickness on your rotor. This particular Shimano rotor is, you want to have at least 1.5 millimeters. So in this case we're 1.62, just getting close. But if that thing's below 1.5 or less, really you just want to scrap that rotor and get a new one, probably pads as well. Anyway, usually what I like to do, I've kind of isolated the spot where it's rubbing, and usually I'll look at a vent hole, or in this case you can kind of look at where the arm is, and so that's where it needs to be bent, basically out or towards me, I guess is the direction I'm bending it. So you typically, one thing you'll notice when you start trying to bend a rotor or true it or push it back in the direction you want, you have to really flex that thing over quite a bit to get it to bend or push in a little bit from where it was. So that's something you kind of got to experiment with. Just go light to start with. Just be patient, and yeah, that's about the best advice I can give you. Just pick away at it, find the spots where it's rubbing, and give her a little bend. It's never going to be absolutely perfect. Basically the goal you want to shoot for is just where the rotor doesn't rub the pads, essentially. So this is another example. This is on a front wheel, and this one uses a quick release axle. So most bikes these days are using a through axle, which it's going to put that rotor in a pretty consistent spot every time. But sometimes your quick release axles, if that wheel's not quite all the way engaged into the dropouts there, it can kind of get that disc rotor little cattywampus in the dropouts, or in the caliper, I guess you could say, and cause some rubbing issues that way. So just if you got a quick release, step one would be to make sure that wheel is all the way up engaged into the dropouts as far as it'll go. And then this is basically just the process that I use. I'll just pick away at it. When you find the spot where it's bent, you need to rotate it either on the opposite end or pretty far away from the caliper. If you try to bend it right next to the caliper, you basically will just create a S bend there in the rotor, which is difficult to get out. So that rotor was acceptable, wasn't rubbing anymore. The other little thing is getting your brake calipers aligned. You can see I've got a little yellow bend down there to use as a high vis background, makes it easy to adjust. So this is a flat mount brake caliper. So basically there's usually it doesn't matter what type it is, there's generally two bolts that hold it on that you can align the caliper with. So it's just a matter of moving that thing back and forth until you get it in the sweet spot, and then gradually cinch each bolt down little by little, one after the other, until the caliper is tight. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and we'll see you guys next time.